Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about BB7. I almost said BB7. Well, it is BB7 All-Stars. Where's my head? I'm just like so confused with all the BB22 stuff going on. Sorry. Let's talk about BB7 All-Stars.
We were just talking about BB22. We threw you right before we started. Hi, everyone. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon for very professional intros like that one, you can find a link in the description.
We like prepare and then we'll be like, oh, and then BB22 and then like completely throw each other off.
Totally.
That's how we do.
Okay, so we are in BB7 mode. Okay, so this is
original All-Stars.
Right, Janelle's HOH. We are starting after she has said that she despises Erica's game.
Oh, right.
So we're getting a little bit of a debrief with like Danielle and Erica and Marcellus, and they're like, wow, despise. Okay. Like, and I think someone was like, oh, I thought her speech was good. And they're like, was it good?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it was actually good.
Marcellus said that. It was like good speech. And Erica's like, are you kidding right now?
Yeah.
And I think he laughed it off, but I don't know that he was kidding.
Right.
Was not clear on that one. But most important here is that Will has a plan. He tells Danielle, this is how it's going to go down. Everyone is going to throw Veto to her. They want her to be able to take herself off without it being suspicious, like no one pulling her down.
Right.
And she's like, great.
Yeah, great. Throw it to me. Like, let's get you guys playing Veto then. Like, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. Make it happen.
We get a little bit of, the Erica and Boogie showmance, and he proposes to her, and he suggests that she's going to need to show him a little love this week in order to get his vote on Thursday. So everything's great with that. That's just
gross.
Seriously.
So gross. I mean,
it's like
Erica
once an episode, there's just something.
Right. How many times in an episode are we like, gross, guys, gross?
Yeah.
But Erica does like Mike. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Erica is flirty, likes Mike. And Mike is like, ew, work for my vote? No.
Disgusting. Yeah. I mean, these guys are like, I guess at the end of the day, it's like, you really are committed to Big Brother. Like, you are playing this girl like this. You're right. Like, Erica does seem to actually like him. And like, at least in the diary room, he's making it seem like, oh, this is all game. This is all game move. Like, you definitely are both sociopaths. Congratulations.
I think they're both committed to Big Brother, but they're both committed to each other. That's really what it is. Like, Mike is obsessed with Will. That's what it's about.
True love story of Big Brother is Mike, Boogie, and Will. Yes.
Yep. So he has to like play it up for Will.
Yeah.
He couldn't ever actually fall for a girl that would like ruin him and Will.
Yeah.
Gross.
Now, I forget why Marcellus went up to the HOH room, but he went up there and he's like yelling at Janelle about their final two. Is he frustrated that she put up Chilltown?
No, in her speech, he felt like she was directing some things towards him.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And he's worried. I mean, hello, you're not on the block, dude. But he's already worried that he's the replacement nom. So like, he's already there mentally.
It was something about people being up in the HOH room, like talking crap about her, right? And he felt that that was directed at him. That's right. I'm remembering now. So, but he's up there and he's like, Janelle, hello, we're supposed to have a final two. And just kind of like going off on her about like, do we actually still have an alliance, Janelle? And, of course she's like, yeah, we have an alliance. Cause like, that's what you do in Big Brother. Like you never say, no, we're not in an alliance unless you want to get sent home, I guess.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, no, we're still good. We're still good. And then he kind of like, it feels like they've kind of made up in person. But then in the DR, he's like, I'm still getting her out the first chance I get. Like, I'm like, Marcellus, you are savage.
I mean, if he thinks the way that he's going to save his game is by yelling at someone for not upholding their final two, I was like,
I know. Good
What
luck.
a way with words you have, Marcellus.
Yeah.
You're like yelling at someone to be loyal to you. And I mean, she does sort of bring up, she's like, but you said this about me. And like, you've been doing this behind my back. Like, she's kind of questioning, do we still have a final two?
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's asking him as much as he's asking her.
Right. So ultimately, they look like they've patched things up. But yeah, they're, at least on Marcellus's end, he's like, honey,
Still seems to hate her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we get another clue for the coup d'etat. It's a needle and a spool of thread.
Really large spool. Yeah. With a needle thread. And they're all now, what does this mean? Will is coming up with 1,000 sayings, to be honest.
I know. I mean, he's
going through all of them.
It's so smart to do that because, like, I often find, like, I get things stuck in my head because I'm like, oh, that's stupid. I don't want to say it. But like, it's really smart to talk those things out because even if it's not triggering something in your head, it might trigger something in Boogie's head. So it's like really smart of him to just like throw out saying after saying after saying that makes no sense, is not the answer, but you just never know what's going to hit. So I was like, smart of him to just spitball, you know, because you never know what connections people are going to make.
You know what is a stupid thing to say? School of lies.
Okay. Also, what's stupid is wolf in sheep's clothing. And that's what Howie actually guessed.
Well, now that is a real saying, though.
It is.
That is a legit saying.
Okay. I guess so. But like, we
have to give him that credit.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'll give him a little bit of credit, but it's also it was just so funny to me in this moment. Like, this is classic Howie, right? Like, first of all, it's not your guess, but you're not questioning Janelle as to why she's making you guess it and not her. Howie's just doing what he does, and that's what he's told to do, right? He just follows orders. So Janelle's like, go guess this, and he goes and he guesses that. And then Janelle says, Howie, don't tell anybody you guessed that. Tell them you guessed this. And he's like, okay, cool. Doesn't even think, does that make sense, right? Like, that doesn't even cross his mind. He's just like, great, I go and I tell the house this is what I said. And Danielle especially is like, did you seriously say that, Howie? Howie,
like, you went in there and you said that. That was your answer. For real?
Howie.
But honestly, I was like, what? I put none of this past Howie. Of course he walked in there and said spool of lies. He's 100%. Howie.
I'd be like,
right. They questioned him way more than I would have questioned him. Right. They were on that lie so fast. And I was like, no, I believe any ridiculous thing that comes out of Howie's mouth.
No, for real. I just like walk away being like, I believe that. Like, that is incredibly stupid, but it's Howie we're talking about. So, okay, he told me he gets spool of lies. I think that's true. I don't have any reason to think he's lying.
Look, here's the thing. He is totally Janelle's sheep. We've seen it over and over again. He's just going to do whatever she tells him to do. But I do feel like Janelle genuinely thought it was wolf in sheep's clothing. And she just wanted to hedge her bets. Like, he's her number 2. So she is like, you go say it. And then that gives us another chance. I'll wait for the 3rd clue. Great. I think the 3rd clue is going to be a wolf. Okay. And and then you got it right. But if not, I'll get that 3rd clue and I'll go in there. So they have double the chances. I get it. But unfortunately, neither one of them are really working with a lot of tools up here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, I kind of took it more like Janelle thought like maybe it's wolf in sheep's clothing, but I don't really think it's wolf in sheep's clothing. So I don't want to guess that. Like, I want to leave myself open to actually getting the right answer once I have all the clues.
Yeah.
And so she was like, hey, Howie, like, you know, her little henchman, like, you go guess this. It might be this, but like, if it's not, well, then at least I still have my guess.
Right. Yeah. And I'm surprised at this point we don't see Will or Boogie go in, but they're going through it all. They're figuring it out. They're waiting.
Yes. So then we go to pick veto players for this. And this is the one that Janelle cannot play. She still has that penalty from the previous veto competition. But she picks Will. And Erica picks Marcellus and Danielle picks James. And this is actually a really great lineup for Danielle because she's got Will and James now working to throw the competition to her.
Yes. Now, of course, we've been in this situation before where they all think they're working together. The numbers are on their side.
Hello, not 1 week ago. Yeah.
Yeah. But here we are again. And Danielle's now on the block. So she really needs to hope.
That is a good point, together. Sarah. Like when Will came to her in the kitchen, why was she not like, oh, is this going to be like last week when y'all threw me the veto? Is that how it's going to go? Like that's funny. I didn't even think about that, but you're totally right. Like they were in this exact position 7 days earlier.
Exact same position. And you don't know what kind of veto it's going to be. And sometimes that doesn't help you if it's like, oh, it's one of those where we can't really throw it.
Yeah.
So she is probably just doing like all the Hail Marys and whatever that they are actually going to be able to work for her to win it.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's got to kind of cling to that idea because she's the one on the block. So I'm sure she's like, okay, if you're telling me you're going to throw it to me, like, great. I have no other choice but to accept that plan.
Yeah. Right.
So this one brings back a lot of former BB players.
Yes.
We see some that I have never seen play before, but April comes back.
Right. Good old BB6 April.
As Howie calls her.
She literally walks out the door and Howie's like, Busto!
Oh my God. Again, with Howie, he'll just never be not that person.
Yeah, never. BB2 Nicole is actually hosting it. So we see these former players come out and they do some sort of task. So April eats sushi in a certain amount of time. Right. Now our veto players have to bid on if they can basically beat that time, if they can do it.
Right.
If they succeed.
I was just gonna say it's kind of like Name That Tune-esque because you're like you're bidding a time to beat the previous BB house guests, but you're like trying to bid the lowest time of all the house guests who are bidding. Like I can bid the fastest, but it's kind of like trying to like hedge your bets a little bit.
Does anyone know Name That Tune? I love that reference, and I bet nobody else knows it. I can name that tune in 3 notes. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yes.
I remember that show. I'll remember it and I love it.
It is a dated reference, though.
So Will being the first one to bid that he can eat faster than April this sushi, I was like, oh my God, Will never does it the way he's supposed to.
Yeah. And he also bid significantly lower. Like April did it in 5 minutes and he bid 256. I was like, you didn't have to go that low. So it kind of felt like Will just being wild and crazy again. And we see when he's doing it, he's like tossing the sushi up and catching them in his mouth. And Danielle's like, can you take this seriously? We are not going to have a repeat of last week.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking, oh, Will's going to blow it right now. But he didn't. He ate it in time and he gets to eliminate someone. He takes out Marcellus immediately. And I'm like, ho, wait a minute. They're actually doing something.
Yeah. So that works out for them. Now Scott comes out and he, does the hula hoop on the flamingos situation. And James is the one who bids to beat him. And he does beat him. And so he eliminates Erica. And
now this is going to come back and haunt him a little bit. But he's got to do what he's got to do in this moment.
He's got to do it. Yeah. He's playing for Danielle. So he has to eliminate Erica. So now it's down to James, Will, and Danielle, right? Like the only other 2 people have been eliminated. So James and Will kind of have to like figure out, well, how do we not win? And Danielle wins.
Yes.
Here's where things get messy.
But it's fun.
It is fun, but like it's the one where you spin around in a chair. Jack comes out and, he famously like did not do well with this on his original season, but he spins in the chair and then has to place the champagne in a certain number or, a certain time as fast as he can.
Yeah.
So he does it in 37 seconds. James bids 20 seconds. And I think you didn't go low enough, right? Now you have to stumble around for 21 whole seconds before you place the champagne glass. It's too long. Like, you should have bid 10 or even 15. Like, oh, I'm confident. Like, I got this.
Yeah. And
But
then
he doesn't go
blatantly
far
not got it is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Right.
Go
Like, it's
low
more
and then
believable if he has to fake being dizzy and like falling over for less time if he bid 10 seconds. I just think 20 seconds was too long for him to be stumbling around and whatever. And Janelle kind of catches on to it. And I love that she says in the DR, he's a bad actor because
the last few episodes, he's been a best actor, Oscar.
He's been on his Oscar campaign, you know, like.
Yes. And then all of a sudden he got this role and it was just a little too challenging for him, apparently. Yeah.
Out of his comfort zone.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's hard to judge when someone's dizzy and like if they're able to balance. But I think you're right. If he had just gone lower, it wouldn't have been even a question. It just would have been like, wait, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this is great. He half fakes it and he's out. And so now it's just down to Danielle and Will.
Yep. And then it's a bull riding thing, right?
Yes. BB2 Hardy comes out and he rides this bull and Will says 3 minutes.
Yeah, because Hardy managed to ride for 59 seconds. And this is one like every other challenge is like, I can beat their time. This one's like, I can last longer. Not that I'm going to do it faster. Of course, you're going to last longer on the bull this time. So I don't even remember what Danielle bid, but Will bid 3 minutes.
She said 1 minute. And that's why I was confused of like, wait, hers was lower, but that one had to be longer, to last longer. So yeah, she said 1 minute. Will says 3. And just Janelle being Janelle, falling for everything Chilltown does. She's like, Will's just out there being cocky. No, of course you can't do it that long. But yeah, James is clearly throwing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the strategy that I thought James should have done. Name a time that is unreasonable for you to execute, and that's what Will does. Like, it's really hard to ride. I don't know if you all have ever ridden a mechanical bull.
Tell us about it.
There's a place in Los Angeles called Saddle Ranch, and I've had many friends on a mechanical bull in there. And it is tough to last for even 20 seconds on that thing. So like when he says 3 minutes, I'm like, there's no chance. It's so when you're operating a mechanical bull, it's very easy to whip it around hard enough to knock somebody off if you really want to,
Yes.
So Will had no chance of doing 3 minutes. And sure enough, he does lose. And Danielle is our veto winner.
Yes. And it just looks great. Look. Oh, wow. Danielle wins. And Janelle is pissed from the second that she's been pissed. And even Howie is, what did he say? He said the biggest, what did he say?
I don't remember.
Like, what's it like? Being backstabbing or something like that.
Okay.
The biggest betrayal. Thank you. Oh, words. Yes, he was like the biggest betrayal or the largest or the deepest or something like that. Something dramatic. And I was like, oh man, if Howie can see it, then it's blatant.
Yes. So now Chilltown and Danielle are kind of talking about like, ooh, like now we're worried that James might go up. Like, is Janelle going to figure out what happened with James? And like, sure enough, we get James up in the HOH room and Janelle and Howie are really going in on him. And they're like, oh
my gosh, they're so mad at him.
Because she's like, I told you to get Danielle out. Why did you get Erica out? And he doesn't have an answer.
Yeah. Again. Okay. So James's acting is still not going well in this room. Like he doesn't have a lot to say. But I honestly, I wanted to be like, and maybe he did say this and we just didn't see it in the edit. But like all James has to do is be like, remember when you took out Diane in that veto and we were supposed to take out, like, remember when you didn't put, like, there's 1,000 things that James could list.
Deflect. Yeah.
Yes. That she didn't do when she was supposed to. It's just the same game. They're all playing the same game.
Yeah, exactly. They're all loyal to Chilltown. So at any rate, Erica or Howie is saying like, okay, listen, we'll get Erica out this week and then we'll finish the job next week and we'll get Danielle out then. Like, it's weird to me that Janelle and Howie are still kind of trying to keep James in their orbit. Like, it seems like they want to believe that he's still with them. They are like just wanting to deny what's in front of their face as long as they possibly can. So they're, you know, just saying like, okay, fine. Well, you messed it up, but okay, we'll get Erica out and then we'll get Danielle out. I'm like, you got to cut James loose. Like he is not with you guys, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, they're thinking they need him as the number. They think that he's not playing the exact same game that they have already seen him play last summer.
Right.
Like, how many times does, you know, a dog have to bite you before? I don't know. What's that saying? That's horrible. I love dogs.
And where was that going, Sarah? Were you going to put the dog down at the end of it?
I know. That's why I stopped myself. I was like, what? Give the dog a hug. What? I don't know where that was going. Skip that metaphor. Anyway. Now they
but
do
then James,
in this room, they do bring up Chilltown.
Yeah, James is like, you got to go talk to Janelle, guys. Like, I don't know what just happened with me, but like, you got to go talk to her. And it didn't work out great for James to send up Chilltown without him to talk to Janelle. Right? Because then soon enough, they're like, well, we definitely don't trust James. Like, hello, we're not idiots. James is not trustworthy.
Yeah, and Will is like, I got to make sure that James is not seen as a trustworthy person. Like, honestly, he needs to be the one and only, like, savior. So even if they're like, okay, we're going to work with this person for now, don't trust them more than you trust me. So Will's doing the best job ever of like deflecting and like putting blame here and putting blame there and making other people look bad. And then also giving answers of like, put up Marcellus, do this. He's got to go.
And they're saying like, well, you know, why do you think we eliminated Marcellus from the veto competition? Because he's with Danielle. So we got to get Marcellus. If we can't get Danielle, then we got to get Marcellus out this week. And, you know, then we'll get James. After we get Marcellus, it's like they're just doing such a good job of like painting all these other people as targets other than themselves and also other than Danielle. They're kind of like pushing the Danielle elimination further down the line as well because they know that they're working with her, you know?
Yeah. And it's just so interesting to see Janelle's tone change. Like she's like going in on James and then she's just like listening to whatever Will tells her.
Yeah. Under the spell. The spell.
Yep.
Then we get the double date. I think we can skip over the shower double date. Who cares?
Pass. Shower scene. No, thank you. But now Janie's getting herself in some problems because she's like, Marcellus, I'm getting a lot of pressure to put you up. And he's like, then I will be voted out.
Right.
And she's like, she kind of liked that we're going to patch things up little meeting they had. So she doesn't want to put him up.
Yeah. Yeah. But she's just like, there's like all this pressure from the rest of the house. And I think she's kind of trying to pitch it as like, I promise you're a pawn, but he's not. I mean, he's an all-star. He's played this game before. Like he knows that's not always how it works. So he just flat out says like, if you put me up, I'm going home. Like I think that was like smart for him to say that.
Yeah.
To put a little bit of doubt in Janelle's mind.
Right. And she doesn't want to put him in that position. So she is saying like, well, then I won't do it. Because I think deep down, she doesn't want to put him in that position. But what's confusing here is we just got out of a shower scene with her and Erica and Will and Mike. And so why in Janelle's head doesn't she see that the game she's playing, Erica's playing the same one? So if it's working for Janelle, why wouldn't it work for Erica? Why does she feel like the guy that was just making out with Erica in a shower would vote her out? Like, where does that compute?
Right. Even though, I mean, we did get a little bit, like, again, this was just like not a good episode for Mike Boogie as like a person, but he did kind of make some comment of like, oh, well, once Erica gives it up, like, I don't need her here anymore. Like, I can definitely vote her out. But I think you're right.
Yes, and I think he can. I think he is using her, but when you're going to use someone, you're going to keep them around for as long as you can use them, right?
Yeah,
Why would you get rid of them
Yes.
this early. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then, unfortunately for Marcellus, Janelle ends up in the storage room with Will, and he is just casting spells left and right on her and says that she's a warrior and says just saying all the right things. And
the right things.
she's under a spell, you know?
Yep. Yeah. He knows exactly what to say. He knows how to mold her. And, you know, she feels all a fluster in his presence. And so she's like, yes, I can do it. I will put Marcellus up.
Yeah.
And that is what she does.
Yes. Danielle vetoes herself. Janelle renominates Marcellus, and he goes off in the diary room. He says he wants to rip out her brassy blonde locks from the black roots and then shove her heart down Will's cold throat or something. I was like, whoa, Marcellus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit of a thing. Yeah. It was not the first time someone has gone after Janelle.
Right.
Or anyone, honestly. They go after each other all the time in this house.
All the time. I know.
Yeah, he's not happy. We do get a little soundbite from Janelle at this point, though, as we're leaving this episode, that if Erica doesn't leave this week, then she knows people are lying to her.
Oh, okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So I think she's going to figure that out pretty soon. Yeah. So Erica's feeling kind of good, I think, that she's up against Marcellus. She's like, I've got a shot against him. Like, obviously, she's working with him. Like, they're in a loose alliance that we haven't necessarily named, but they're clearly working together. They talk strategy. But she's like, I feel like I might be able to stay next to Marcellus. Danielle, meanwhile, is like in a tough spot because she's got this friendship with Erica. Yeah. But she also like made this promise to Marcellus of like, I'm not going to blindside you. If I'm going to vote you out of this house, I'm going to give you a heads up. So she was like very conflicted.
We do see the Legion of Doom basically making their plan. We are going to vote out Marcellus. We want to go against Janelle. We want to keep Erica for now. Yeah. And basically that's who's running the house right now. I mean, it's always Chilltown, but
yeah,
currently
it always comes down to them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Will makes a comment of like, you know, Erica's going to ruin Chilltown. Like she's getting a little too close to Boogie. So we're going to get Marcellus this week, but like Erica's got to go afterwards. Like I got to keep my boy as my number one. And I got to make myself Boogie's number one. Like I can't have Erica sneaking in there. So he's feeling a bit threatened by her, but not so much that he's going to vote her out this week, I don't think. But then we don't really see Erica do any campaigning. Like it's all Marcellus that I remember seeing talking
well, Erica does talk to George.
She does with George. Yes, that's right. Yes, I just was remembering. I took the note of like Marcellus asked George for his vote, and George says, I didn't make any commitments, even though he had just committed to Erica.
He had just done that. Yeah, it looks like George is the vote that people are concerned about. So we see Erica and Marcellus both talking to him. And as usual, he just sort of nods along and is like, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I got you. And then, but doesn't really like make any huge sweeping promises. But Janelle, however, is like, Marcellus, trust me. You have to trust me. Like, it's not you. You are safe.
Yeah, she's promising him safety. And it's like, girl, you are not in any position at this point to promise safety. Your job is done. You've nominated people and you play no part in this elimination. So you can't promise him jack squat. Sorry.
Yeah. It's really disappointing, especially as much as we love Janelle. It's just really disappointing to see this at all. When a female says, if you flirt with Will, he'll do whatever you want. Like she genuinely thinks that she is manipulating and working her tactics on Will. And we are watching the opposite. We are watching her fall for all of the things that Will, like, show me something Will has done that you made him do.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen it. It's real tough to watch. Real tough.
Yeah. Marcellus also confronts Chilltown and he's like, what's going to happen. And they're like, relax.
Oh my God. Again, Marcellus's approach. So well spoken. Yeah. He's like, boys, I heard. And it's like, oh my God, is this how you get votes?
Right.
No.
Yeah. I know. And so they're like, dude, like, well, let's talk later, but like, chill. Like, it's all good. It's all good.
All good. And then sucker as he walks away.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. So then we get a package of Danielle and Janelle's mothers talking about them, talking about
these two women going against each other. Guess what?
Rivalry.
Janelle at 15, I guess, got boobs because she blossomed. And then Danielle at 15 had a baby.
Had a kid.
Oh my gosh. Those are like, how different can we get?
I know. But like, I did think like it was a well edited package because I don't know. I guess I just hadn't really been like thinking about the bigger picture of the last 3 weeks where Danielle put up Janelle and Janelle won the veto and Janelle put up Danielle and Danielle won the veto. And like, they're both going at each other. And like, you know, I think that I forget, was it Janelle's mom who was saying like, I think Danielle understands that Janelle's smarter than she lets on. And I think that's just so true. Like they both recognize that they are huge threats. It's not, Danielle does not view Janelle in the same way that like Allison views Janelle as this like bimbo who's like a cocktail waitress and like flirts with boys and all this. Like I think Danielle respects the game threat that Janelle is. And so it's interesting to see two such strong female players like kind of battling it out.
It is, absolutely. And Janelle's mom is the one who says they should have just teamed up from the beginning. And I'm like, yes, how amazing would that have been? Because they're two strong women who are like ready to game and go. And unfortunately, they're wasting all of this time going at each other.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a great battle because it's like, you put me up. Oh, I'll take myself down. Thank you.
Right. You thought, but you were wrong.
You thought. Yep. Got to finish that war. Start that war. Finish it.
Yep. Then we get Janelle talking to Julie in the HOH room. And she says that she's still committed to season 6. She still wants to go to the end with season 6. I'm like, Janelle, you don't even know what you want right now.
Exactly. She doesn't even know. That's the thing, is because like those are not the actions that we're seeing.
Exactly.
You say that you're still aligned with season 6. You don't even know if you can trust James, but like you want to trust James, but your actions say you are aligned with Chilltown and you are loyal to them and you will protect them.
Specifically Will. Yes, absolutely. Yep. So she's a little mixed up, I think.
A little mixed up. That's the mist. Gets y'all mixed up. Okay, this is when we get back to the coup d'etat and we get to see Boogie figuring it out.
Right. And he does figure it out before the third clue.
He does.
Yeah.
He's thinking about that thread and the word so.
And the word you. It's a you. It's a female sheep. They finally figured it out that it's a sheep, not a lamb. So it's a you.
Yeah.
And you sow.
Reap what you sow. And so that is his answer that he gives. And then the third clue is the reaper. So he's feeling
so then they're all like, oh, it's you reap what you sow. Like as soon as they see the Grim Reaper, like everybody kind of puts it together.
Yeah.
But Boogie had already guessed that. And so they bring him into the DR and you see.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, David. Not everyone guesses that. Janelle guesses you sow what you reap.
Sarah, I almost fell off my couch when she said that. It's like, okay, for as savvy as you are, I don't know that I would use the word smart all the time. Like you are definitely a savvy Big Brother game player, but like that was a miss there.
I was like, wait a minute, does she think there's a possibility that they have it backwards?
But you literally cannot sow what you reap. Like,
just in case they had it wrong, she was gonna.
Yeah, it's just. I mean,
just in case.
You've got to sow it first, and then you reap it. So you have to.
I don't think she understands. She doesn't know the word sow or reap.
She doesn't know.
Yeah, she's not a farmer.
She didn't have a conversation with Chicken George about like farming before she went in to make her guess. So anyway, that was very funny. But they are explaining in the DR to Mike Boogie, and I did not know that this was going to be good for 3 evictions. So he doesn't have to, bomb Janelle's HOH, which I don't think he really wants to at this point. Like, I think he's fine with the nominations the way they are. They're charging Marcellus.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's not going to actually show his cards anyway, because too many people think that they're aligned with him. So no, he's going to keep letting other people do his dirty work, and
that's right,
not use it unless he probably gets in a really bad spot with like Will on the block or something like that. I do want to point out, because we talked about this in the last episode of like, do not assume. What a weird thing. Yes. But it turns out, because David and I have not seen season 5, but that was the theme of season 5 was DNA, which I did know that there were like siblings, and like Nokomis's brother was on the season. Like that was the whole DNA was the theme, and apparently do not assume. So David and I learned that.
Yes, one of our commenters. Thank you for commenting and filling us in on that, because I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense that they would guess that. Right. Like, I won't give Danielle and Erica such a hard time for.
we were like, what?
Yeah,
they had reason. They had reason for that. So we'll pass that information on to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, we have speeches.
Yeah, both very nice. I mean,
Marcellus though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean nice in the way of like they're not blowing up each other's games or anything like that. But Marcellus does make some very pointed comments.
He is playing an honest game. And if you guys want to lie to his face and vote him out, that's on you.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we haven't been watching his game, I guess.
I guess I haven't.
We've been watching something else.
If I'm thinking of like the top 100 words to describe Marcellus's game, honest is not in there.
Oh, they didn't make the top 100.
But maybe I'm not watching his game hard enough.
Yeah, we're seeing a different edit completely. But yeah, so I didn't know it was going to be unanimous.
I didn't either.
I thought we were shocking season 6.
It seemed like Julie didn't either. Like the producers write all of her intros, her setups for the votes, right? And she made some comment about like, it would be a shock if Howie went against Janelle and voted Marcellus out. And he's like, I vote Marcellus. And I'm like, wait, what? Like usually they write these things. So it seems like Julie knows exactly what's going on in the house. And they've set us up, with what they've showed on the show so far, with like how things are going, what the momentum is. But like, she kind of seemed in the dark here.
Right. And then the next one is James. And they're like, would James go against his Howie in his season 6? And I'm like, well, no, because Howie just did it himself. Like it's not going against if Howie already did it. Yeah. It was like, oh. The players did not tell the producers which way they were going to go.
I know. Yeah. That part of it was not quite ironed out, but I was shocked to see 6-0.
Yeah.
Marcellus is out of the game.
And I wanted so badly for the camera to be on Janelle's face at this point, because like, were they shocking her? I mean, I'm given the hint that Howie voted that way. So I'm assuming she wasn't shocked, but we don't know because the camera wasn't on her. So we have to assume that they gave Janelle a heads up and she gave Howie a heads up. And so that's why it was unanimous. But I don't think Marcellus got a heads up.
He didn't really seem like he knew, because it was very like he hugged Erica because he knew that Erica, didn't vote for him, obviously. I mean, she had a little bit to do with it, maybe in terms of how much she campaigned. Yeah. But, I think you can always hold the other person on the block with you faultless. Like this had nothing to do with you. Hug goodbye. All right. And then it was like everybody else just kind of got out of his way and he grabbed his bag and he was out the door with not even a look back over his shoulder. Yeah.
He was like, bye. I'm out of here. Goodbye. Yeah. And then he stormed out to Julie to tell Julie all about what a snake Janelle is. Just for Julie to be like, okay, well, let me tell you what you've been doing.
Let me pull out my card here. But I did love how she was like, let me read some things that you said about Janelle. And she reads them and he's like, let me tell you what I actually said. He's like, you're misquoting me. This is what I actually said. And she's like, oh yeah, sorry, we were paraphrasing yours.
She was like, yeah, it was a super long Oh my God, Siri just keeps jumping in. Go away, Siri. Like, who is talking to me? I'm sorry.
God, Siri,
Oh my God, Siri
so
is
desperate for friends. Can't say her
like,
name, Sarah.
I
Or
can't.
you have to say Alexa.
That thing is popping up on my computer and keeps talking to me, and I'm trying to do a live stream. Stop it. But yes, he was like, that was a much longer quote. Thank you. And she's like, we don't have all day, Marcellus.
But he did get some interesting goodbye messages. Both James and Janelle say to him, like, if you're seeing this, then the house is not what I thought it was. You know, people are lying to me. My position in this game is not quite what I thought it was. And Janelle, I think it's probably actually true, I think, for Janelle, because I think she believed that Marcellus was safe. She was like promising him safety.
Right.
He was not the target. She was telling everybody she wanted Erica out.
Right.
She's sure that people were going to vote that way.
Yeah, I think they probably gave her a heads up at the very last minute. So her goodbye message is probably accurate. I think James is working a jury vote because Marcellus is the first person on the jury.
True.
So he's playing that off, which is hard to play off when it's a unanimous vote. You can't hide behind. But what?
Yeah.
I voted you out. I had no idea. What?
Yeah. I didn't quite pick up on that. Like, I'm glad that you brought that up there, because like it totally makes sense that James would be playing the jury there. But when I first saw it, I was like, oh, James is like in the same boat as Janelle. Like, he doesn't realize that, you know, Chilltown is not with him. But like, I think you're totally right that he's just trying to work that jury a little bit. He's no dummy.
Yeah.
But he's not doing it in the most effective way. You're right. Like, it's tough to be like, hey, so I just voted to evict you, but I'm also surprised that you got evicted.
Yes, shocking. So shocking. I do kind of like the whole Danielle thing. We see her walking away from the vote, very teary. She's emotional during the goodbye message. And
yeah,
Marcellus does get to say, like, he got some closure out of this. Who would have thunk it?
Who would have? Yeah. And he's like, it almost feels like this is better than winning for him, because he's been so hung up on the betrayal and all of that since BB3. And he's just like, I feel so much lighter now. Like, this is so wonderful to like be able to walk away from this and like maybe consider Danielle a friend even after what happened to us in BB3. Like, just very healing experience for him.
The way he went out in BB3 was just, whoa, like he didn't take himself down with the veto, and the world called him just dumb and stupid. How'd you make the worst move ever? So he had a lot to prove, and no, he didn't come into the house like a great player, but at least he got to repair that relationship. And that's more important, honestly, in the scheme of life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now Julie announces that it is going to be a double eviction week, and these are different. The structure of these double evictions are different than we're used to with like modern Big Brother. I don't remember the double eviction from season 6. So I was still a bit like surprised by the cadence of this. You know, they go to play the HOH right away.
It's prom night, David.
It's prom night. And
America voted for a prom queen.
A prom queen who's going to get an advantage in the challenge.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna give America the benefit of the doubt here.
Yes.
First off, they just love Janelle and they can't handle it. They're
gonna give her everything.
Vote for her. But we did have that wonky HOH, so it's very possible that on Thursday night they thought Erica would HOH.
Yeah.
And so they all sent in their votes for Janelle. They didn't know until later
that she wouldn't be able
to
play.
was going to be HOH and not get the advantage.
Right. So rather than an advantage in the HOH competition, Janelle gets a little tiara and a bouquet of flowers. And of course, she couldn't be happier. You know, she's America's princess. So she's thanking America. And I'm sure the house guests are like, yeah, of course, Janelle won. She wins everything when America votes. Okay, let's move on.
Yes. Now they are dressed up in their prom vests and they're walking down a red carpet or something. The old pictures were cute.
They were cute.
Like young What that was really cute. But these are weird questions, and you have to like raise your left hand and your right hand and move up. I was like, did we phone this one in, producers?
And why are they blindfolded? I don't understand. I guess it's so you don't see how the other people are voting. Yeah,
because usually they have that wall.
It just felt overly complicated. Like, just keep it.
Just felt lazy. It was like, and we'll just have them step forward.
Just step forward.
What? How I was like, are y'all even monitoring who's stepping forward and who's not? It could get so messy. We could have another problem.
I know.
Maybe they were so scared of technology that they were like, no technology this time.
Well, and you even like, I feel like I overheard George whispering at one point, like, I don't know if I actually got all those questions right. I'm like, are we going to have another problem with the HOH where the producers like thought he got the question right, but he didn't, and they told him to move forward, but he was actually wrong? Like, come on.
I think he said, I'm surprised I got any.
Oh, okay. I was like,
he was being, typical George of like, what? I'm here? Yeah. Oh my gosh. But so it comes down to a tie between George and Danielle.
And we get a tiebreaker question. And the tiebreaker question is, I think they misunderstood the assignment with the answers that they gave. But the tiebreaker question was, how many minutes was the house without hot water?
Right.
It was supposedly a week, right?
I thought it was a week. I thought it was a week. So I had like 100,000 minutes.
I mean, it's 60 minutes in an hour. Times 24 hours in a day, times 7 days in a week.
It must have been less because Julie said 6,000, but they were way off.
They said 300.
300.
Yeah, which is 6 hours. 360 minutes was George's guess, and that's 6 hours. And I thought for sure, like, because George put his right up, and then Danielle's taking forever. She's trying to like scribble math on the board, and Julie's like, write something, and she writes for so long that I'm like, oh, she wrote like 1,000 or 2,000 or something. Like, surely she's gonna win. Right. She wrote 308.
Yeah. Oh,
I was like, what?
And then I was like questioning my math because I was like, that's not even close.
So I'm like, maybe they thought it was hours or something. Like maybe they misheard Julie. I don't know what happened, but somehow George is an HOH winner.
Yes. I mean, no one's close, but he's the closest. So he gets to win HOH, and everyone's like, who would have thunk it? Here we are. George's HOH. This is crazy. But it gets crazier, people, because they go sit on the couch and Julie's like, it's double eviction week. Not night, double eviction week. So, George, you have to stand up in front of everyone and give us your noms immediately. Yeah.
Very different from how we normally do it because, like, I mean, clearly, like, the way they do it now is it's announced on eviction night. And so they get the previous eviction over with right away. And then we see the full week of Big Brother play out. But there's always like a little bit of time for them to talk. Strategize with their alliance members. This is like, boom, bomb is dropped. It's a double eviction week. George, you thought you had, days and days to talk to people and figure things out. But right now, name your nominees.
Right. More importantly, Will, you thought you had time to manipulate George or Janelle. You thought, like all these people who are like, well, I got to get into George's ear, and like none of that. They don't get a commercial break or anything. George just has to stand up. And I just have to imagine people are like, oh man, I should have talked to George more.
Yeah.
At that moment.
I mean, he nominates James and Erica. And to me, that's like, okay, James is the target. Like, Erica feels like she's been on the block a couple of times. She's not really a target. People aren't really thinking about her in terms of eviction yet. So he's probably thinking like she's a safe pawn next to James.
Yeah. I don't know George's relationship with Erica. Maybe she is like his second, I don't know, not close to her type person. But James is definitely going to be his target. James was gunning for George on his HOH. Remember that ridiculous HOH?
Yes.
Y'all? Oh, so yeah, not a surprise that George has, some feelings against James. But I really was like, because we don't know where George's head has been. We don't know who he's really aligned with. Yeah. I mean, it feels like he's not aligned with anyone, but I have to imagine like Danielle or somebody.
Danielle, yes, we've seen conversations with Danielle, and like I think probably Erica to a certain extent, only because George has been considered in that like floater group of Marcellus, Erica, Danielle, Diane, and himself. So I think that he's probably gotten closer to Erica than like the season 6 people in Chilltown. But who knows?
The fact
really,
that he didn't put any Chilltown up makes me go, oh my gosh, does he think he's in the Chilltown too?
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're much better at manipulating women than men. Like, they're pretty mean to the other guys, but I wouldn't put it past Will to, I mean, he's smart. Like,
he is.
If you're smart, you've taken George under your wing a little bit. So just in case of these moments.
Just in case. Yeah. But Chilltown lives through another nomination ceremony, and it's James and Erica on the block. And I kind of, like I said, I forgot how the double eviction played out in BB6, so I'm like interested to see what's going to happen.
It's basically just a double week. So the next episode we will get this eviction, and then we'll do another HOH, so that by the end of the week we've had 2 people go out. Is basically what it is.
Okay. So it's kind of like half weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 half weeks. And we have the coup d'etat available for 2 more evictions.
Which is, so this is the last week for the coup d'etat to be used.
Oh, you're right. Since we're going to have both of these evictions in a week. So it's only 1 week. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. And James will have to win Veto. He'll have to take himself down, I think.
I would think so. I mean, unless Will really means it, that like Erica's such a threat to break up Chilltown, I've got to get her out. But I don't know. It feels like a good opportunity to get James out if he's on the block.
Right. James is just a bigger player.
Yeah.
Erica's game is so low key. Yeah. So barely even see it. Barely visible.
But if you're Janelle, you despise it.
But you despise it, that very not visible game. It's despicable.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our what are we doing? These are our episodes.
Yes, BB7.
That was 17 and 18. So that means on Wednesday we will be streaming the recaps for 19 and 20.
Which should be 2 evictions, right? The way this is going to play out.
2 evictions, I would guess.
There we go. And potentially a coup d'etat. So this could be a fun 2 episodes. Make sure you guys check it out.
That's right. Also, we should just touch on a little BB22 info. CBS accidentally posted some merch on their shop today. I say accidentally because they quickly took it down. Because I'm pretty sure you don't put merch up before you've announced the show.
I think that's how it works. Yeah.
That's usually how it works. But what I think it does show us is because it does have the logo that they are calling it BB All Stars.
All Stars, Sarah.
All Stars.
All Stars.
Not who's just available stars.
No, All Stars.
Not who we could just happen to get during a pandemic stars.
All Stars, Sarah. So we'll see if we agree when the cast gets announced.
Yes, exactly. We'll let you know if it's actually All Stars. Little asterisk by that. But yes, BB22 does look like it will be All Stars as the title.
Yes, super.
We knew it was going to be former players, but they are calling it All Stars.
Yeah. So we shall see who is in that cast.
And once they finally announce the show, you might get some merch.
Hey, yeah. We know the merch is like in process.
Look, they had a face mask. If you need a mask,
very topical.
BB All Stars mask. Come on, guys.
Good for them.
So that's exciting. Because we're assuming that August will be the start date, which means probably went into sequester today or sometime this week is what.
It's a Monday. Feels like a Monday. It's a good day for a sequester to start.
Yes. And if you didn't see my photo, I did go by the BB house. The picture of them working.
Sorry, we've got an investigative journalist on our hands, everybody. Sarah Nerdtainment at Sarah Big Brother was mentioned in several places online.
That's right.
As like a local source in Studio City, sleuthing around and taking pictures of an open garage door and
some trailers, a person in a golf cart. It was all very exciting. That's what I'm here for, to give you that reporting. So very exciting. Once we know more, we'll be back with more information. But that's what we have as of now. So you guys, we will be back on a Wednesday with the next 2 episode recap. We'll also be over on Patreon with Survivor Heroes versus Villains. We only have 2 more weeks of that.
I know, too. That's coming to a close. I'm sad about that, but
yes,
hopefully Big BB22 will fill that hole. And
yes,
very happy to get that going.
And then also, David, I don't know if you know this, but it's BB Australia finale week. So
this season seems like it went by so fast.
It did.
Do they have shorter seasons there, like fewer days?
Well, yeah, it's Survivor length. It's 39 days.
Okay.
And it was 3 episodes a week. It's just a lot. Like they put out a lot. So, but gosh, it was such a good season. So I'm so excited about that. Jolene and I will be here on Thursday to recap the finale week.
Fun.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us live. If you're not here with us live, please leave us a comment with how you feel about all the shenanigans with BB7.
Yes. Let us know what you guys thought, and we will see you on Wednesday for more BB7.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.